Good afternoon, everyone. Fellow panelists, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, it's such a privilege to be here today and speaking to you. Let me start with a little bit about the work that we do as an organization, and then I can talk a little more about some of the recent trends in CSR that's going on globally. VisionSpring as an organization works across 20 countries, helping people see better by doing eye screenings and providing a simple pair of eyeglasses. Eyeglasses, as you know, are enablers to a lot of different things. They can help people learn better, earn better, and make things safer for us, make our roads safer, make our industries safer. So we see eyeglasses and vision as an intervention going beyond just healthcare and adding a lot of economic value. So in terms of the Sustainable Development Goals, we feel that vision is linked with 4 key goals, which is reduction of poverty, economic health and well-being, quality education, and decent work and economic growth. So it has a direct relationship with the Sustainable Development Goals. We work across India. We've so far touched 3 million people in India with a pair of eyeglasses and are poised to touch 1 million people annually by the end of 2020, going across the country, doing eye screenings and providing glasses, along with our corporate partners, along with eye hospitals and the state governments. So, as you can see, a little intervention can make a lot of impact to the GDP of the nation. As we work with a lot of corporate partners, we see a lot of new trends emerging globally. One of that is that, for the CSR to be sustainable, innovative, and efficient in the long run, it needs to be more than just simple charity. It needs to adopt a social entrepreneurship approach. It needs to be aligned with the problem that the business is trying to solve. And I'm not talking about immediate business needs or business goals. I'm talking about the problem that the business is trying to solve. So if I'm an automobile manufacturer and I got into this business because I want to make safe vehicles, essentially the problem that I'm trying to solve is the lack of road safety. And for that, my CSR initiatives to be sustainable in the long run need to be aligned with road safety. And we may have a direct or indirect impact in the long run due to that, but ultimately we are shaping the sector as a whole through our CSR initiatives if we are aligned to the problem that we are trying to solve. A very interesting statistic, 40% of consumers globally by the end of next year would be Gen Zers. Gen Zers are those who are born in mid-90s or afterwards. So essentially the world is getting younger. 50% of our population in India is less than 25 years of age. 65% of our population is less than 35 years of age. And what this new generation demands is very different from what the older generation did. The new generation demands organizations to take sides. So there is a great emphasis on socio-political activism. Whether it is Trump, Brexit, it is LGBT issues, it's global warming, consumers want organizations to take sides. So while this is evolved, the organizations need to have their CSR strategies carved out accordingly so that they address these needs. Secondly, one of the biggest movements that are happening again is that the customer loyalty is reducing. And as customer loyalty reduces, it is imperative that organizations lead to what we call social branding and packaging of products. So what it really means is that organizations or brands need to be more than just a body, right? They need to have a heart and soul. They need to be corporate citizens, living beings, and living beings stand for something, have certain values associated with it. So it's more So the more emphasis even on marketing teams of organizations is to build in CSR and build in social good as part of their brand proposition. Finally, supply chain audits are increasingly becoming rigorous. As we get into an era of technological boom, internet, globalization, the supply chains are becoming remoter, they're becoming opaquer, and with outsourcing coming in, they're getting more and more complex. So in order to deal with such complexities, and the consumer demand of ensuring that supply chains are ethical, transparent, there's no child labor involved, minimum wages are paid, the work conditions are proper. All of this needs organizations to partner with certain intermediaries that have come in. People like Goodweave or Fair Trade or Rainforest Alliance, the Hub Project. These are organizations that have come in to ensure that certain standards are maintained in supply chains. So a lot of emphasis in the future will go from the corporates to ensure their supply chains are properly treated and are meeting to the international standards expected of them. So these are the different changes that are happening in this sector across the world. Also, the direct involvement of the C-suite is increasing in corporate CSR decisions. Over the last 5 years, 50% increase has been there in terms of CSR that is directed directly by the top management and organizations. So as the top management is involved and has realized now that the CSR is an integral part of being of an organization and not just a certain department that used to exist in the past. It is more and more imperative that the supply side challenges are also met. Because the demand for CSR is growing, but I can't see the supply side keeping pace with that. For that to happen, we need to have good implementation partners, good not-for-profits, good social entrepreneurships coming up. Proper monitoring and evaluation needs to be there so that it not just outputs but even impact is measured. And there needs to be a co-creation of projects by the corporates as well as the implementation partners where they learn from each other and work towards building a relationship which is based on trust, which is based on mutual respect and based on the fact that we are working in the toughest markets in the world with the toughest challenges that even the biggest governments are not being able to solve. So what it requires is a lot of learning on the job and iterating as we go along. So these are some of the new things that are happening in the CSR world today globally, and we need to be ready in our country to meet up with these challenges. Thank you very much.